And we have often reminded you that in, around, behind, woven in between, under, over, everywhere in your DNA, separate from the genome code, are codes and master numbers and information that is invaluable to the multiverse. So in larger terms, created beings have stored things in the DNA of Earth's life forms. And until you figure out how to read it and know that it's there, you can search forever. It was a way to have things hiding in plain sight. And yet, even though many of these visitors that come to your planet are anxious to figure out what's in the DNA, this is why you have the abduction scenarios. Why people have stories of being taken up into ships and sperm and egg and blood and fluids and secretions and little beings experimenting on people. All this has to do with other beings being very curious to figure out where's the juice, where's the gold in the DNA. And we'll say this to you. It's not something that is readily available for others to raid. And we are not after the secrets in the DNA. We said we're here to play the game with you. We are here to receive the codes. And these codes will be something that you will emit. And the master numbers, you will have to figure that out. And Earth is connected, beauty-wise, to, it has sister planets, so to speak, sister library systems on the other side of the galaxy, far, far away, nothing in close territory, where you would say they're sort of parallel worlds, and the genetic experiments are placed there, and things are also within those same similar creatures, things stored there. So the exquisite beauty that you have is unique to, let's say, your world just now. Nothing else is quite like it. And you are the environment. You make the environment. So the beauty that you see, it is part of the energy that gets projected and built by the living creatures who occupy this place. What else, Jennifer?
I was wondering a little bit, going along with this, about the DNA. You say that people read the DNA, and I know there's a lot of, like, what our scientists would call junk DNA, because they don't know what it does.
Yes.
And I was thinking a lot about simultaneous time and multi-dimensions, and that perhaps I'm hearing this version saying, oh, I only use like genes from here to there on my DNA, but then there's another version of me running this says, oh, I only use genes from here to there on my DNA, but it's a different set of genes.
Yes.
And so is a lot of our DNA coordinates for other dimensions?
Yes, yes.
Huh.
Your DNA actually are like a search engine, so to speak, a modem that it allows you to operate in different realities. So one could say that the DNA is multidimensional. It is not simply located in one reality, that it has a multidimensional life, and that junk portion that scientifics cannot figure out what to attribute to, that some of this is dormant, it is latent, it has been unused, and so it is sort of sitting there like old trunks that have not been opened in a long time. And the reason that the planet is not multidimensional in general is because you have migrated away from a multidimensional perspective, so that you could explore a world based on separation, based on separating yourself from being a part of the cosmos, based on little itsy bitsy minuetae, so that you've gotten down to this thing where you're building your world on nanoparticles. But what has happened is that all of this exploration into the nano is creating tremendous problems in the food supply, in people's bodies. You have these nanoparticles, these nanoproducts, and let's say that nanotechnology was not approached with any kind of care at all. And this is going to create a very devitalized probability in the future for those who will be unable to extricate themselves or to pull their energy away from that probability and move towards a different one. A one that is more connected to the cosmos and connected to nature. And actually, this junk DNA is really activated the more you shift your consciousness, and the less you become technologically detail-oriented, and the more you can roam the range, the more that DNA can come into place. Problem is, your society is very, very based on precision. Most people drive at some point or another in a good part of the world. You drive, you pretty much have to pay attention to the details, yes? Mm-hmm. It's not like, I'm going to set off across the prairie here for the next 3 months and roam around. The details you pay attention to roaming around on the prairie would be very different than driving here to Stowe, Vermont. You have to pay attention to sides, turns, roads, speed, etc. All of this takes a different kind of consciousness. And that consciousness specialized in minutiae and details. And in order to build what you have built, you had to shut down tuning into everything. And yet, separation has led you to a dead end. A devitalized reality that has nowhere to pull its juice from, because people are mixed up. They can't find the meaning in life. They don't know how to heal themselves anymore. You follow what we are saying?
Yes.
Good. Questions?
Peace.
Yes.
Peter.
Yes, Peter.
Speaking of the multi-dimensional connection within our DNAs and the obvious interest that everyone in this room has in connecting with your wisdom and energies, and coupling that with the fact that we've been very interested in the sun and the astrology of the time, and I'm curious, how does or what type of astrological system, and how does that connect to our astrological system, let's say Alcyon experience? I mean, it may be beyond the conception of our minds, but is there anything that you can say about that, if there is any connection?
Not certain we understand the question.
So there's certainly an amazing interplay between the sun, the moon, the planets, the constellations of the stars, all from the perspective of Earth.
Exactly. And if you are not on Earth, everything changes.
Exactly. And so I'm asking about, is there some correlating system that you can tell us anything about from the Pleiadian perspective, where clearly there'd be very different constellations. There'd be, I don't even know if there's any planets. I mean, I understand you to be non-physical entities, so there may not need to be any planets around Alcyon or any of the other main stars of the Pleiades, but clearly there's an interplay of energies of the star constellations around the Pleiades that would affect you, and since you're connected to us, I'm curious what systems we share and how what affects you affects us, and what affects us affects you.
Well, again, we're not quite certain what you're looking for, but we will say this: if you look into the night skies, you will see that there is Orion chasing the Pleiades.
Yes.
And so there's always been a bit of contention, a bit of things happening between Orion, the Archer, The belt of Orion has often been recognized as a major portal center, the belt of Orion being the 3 stars. And you will not see Orion in the sky until 1 moon from now. You will see the Pleiades and then Orion and these other winter stars.